world. Patricia O'Connor, and we're going to drag over here and I'm going to show you Free to Reba Darcy here. And this is part 2 of Simply P. Look what we've done to Simply P. That is peat moss, is what that is. I have taken and soaked some peat moss and made little fistfuls of peat moss and began packing it around the exposed root areas, largely so. And I've had kind of a conflicting idea. I'm ready for this video, don't get me wrong. I'm ready for this video, and I'm also looking forward to it. But that's a lot of peat moss there, and that's wet. And the idea, I'm going to drag that up a little. And the idea here, as I bring the camera down a little bit, the idea here is that if you look, there is the putty. That used to be the other half of the trunk was up here and had another piece. So this was, it used to be like that as sweet pea, and now we're looking at half of it like this, right? So it's pretty big here, and then we had this ball of root mass that they had been really great to expose and start that off on a good path for us. So that's something that a lot of beginners probably wouldn't. When I got this tree, I would not have known that that was there for me to exploit, or why I would have. But just like they gave me 12 of these obnoxious limbs to choose from, and I still chose down to 3. Just like that, they did give me some choices and some options on what to do with the root work, and they got the root work started off in a good direction. So after I packed all of that stuff on there, now the idea is that we'll give the roots shelter long enough for them to fill in here, and there's just going to be this big massive stuff down there. Meanwhile, down here in the pot, that'll all start continuing to do its great things and filling out this pot. We created a little bit more room by cutting off a little bit of roots, not much. And then by turning the tree up, we've got about that much area is roots that had been under the soil before. So we're creating all of these areas. Now, I don't have any delusions about, or illusions about how much soil will be there after 1 week of watering. So what we have to do now is do something to make sure that our substrate and our moss stay intact long enough for those roots to go to town in there and start establishing their run. As time goes on and the roots begin to fill up in here, whatever measures we've taken will begin to wear away with time, and this will begin to get compact like soil, and there'll be roots in there, and hopefully they'll be fattening up and doing cool things, so that we will end up with this like long run of roots that feeds right into the trunk. Right now, below this, it stops right there where we chopped it, and then it bulbs out a little bit on that root mass, and then that feeds off into the ground. So hopefully that'll give all of this room to expand and do just all of the stuff that it needs to do. In the meantime, we're going to try to keep that in place. And I had 2 ideas. Let me take a... I'm ready in that idea 1 is to take shrink wrap, and I'll stretch off an arm's length stretch of that, which for me is about 6'2". And then drape 1 piece underneath there, come around and pick it up and stick it there. And that way I can get one tight little squeeze on it 3/4 of the way around all at once so that I won't be pushing on it as I make that first lap and undo this. The idea is if I get a couple of nice wraps around that and then maybe leave it kind of exposed at the, well, probably not. If I want all of this to stay in place too, and I do, I'll end up wrapping that as well. I'm thinking that I'll start like from here to here and then kind of might end up doing that all the way around the pot too. The idea is that we're going to be doing that at least until it's going to stay there at least until spring, to give that a time to fill in with some, grow some roots and establish a little root growth. That's idea one, and the first idea I had. But the other idea is kind of a throwback to a trick I learned from Mom. In the 70s and early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, she would take bromeliads or orchids and trees with air roots and attach them to pieces of driftwood. Really, she would like find the flattest pieces of driftwood that she could find, like a big flat piece of driftwood. And then she would lay the orchid or bromeliad upon it, and then wherever the root mass was, she would pile on top of that sphagnum moss usually, and then on top of that, she would lay a square of stocking material. And the reason was it's very breathable, very stretchable, and she would stretch out a square of it, pop a couple of staples in it, pop a couple of staples in the bottom, and then pack more moss in the top until it was stretched out full, and then pop a couple of staples in that. And did it look like the mound of sphagnum moss was held on by pantyhose? Absolutely, it did. But then within a few weeks, that would begin with watering and all of that stuff. That would begin to grow moss and cover over what it was just basically a lattice at that point. But it was good for air and it was good for holding things in place. So I had been thinking about that, and I did go so far as to make a square, but I don't think the idea was I was going to open up a tube that I had tied in one end and just try to put a sock right here. I don't think so. I think I would end up with substrate falling out and it would all be down here at the bottom. So then I thought, well, if you do that, then do that, but then take shrink wrap and tape it off around the top. And then I thought, well, if we're still playing with shrink wrap, we'll just shrink wrap the stuff down. The advantage to the idea of using the sheer nylon material, though, was that it was going to be breathable. I think that probably for this, shrink wrap is probably an item that's closer to something that I've used before. So I'll probably be able to, I'm winging this as it is, probably go with something that at least I've done before, which is shrink wrap stuff. So that's kind of what I'll do there. If I'll probably go back over once I think that everything is good and secure and not going to go anywhere. I'll probably go back over with my magic skewer and torture the shrink wrap with some air holes. So yeah, that's kind of the idea. I'm going to throw a leg over, kick the camera, and then I suppose we'll get started. I'm going to look at that frame a little, take that up a little bit, and I think we're okay with that. I'm pretty happy with the work that I know it looks funny with that peat moss packed all around it and stuff, but I'm still pretty happy with the work that we did to this tree. Frida and I have been fairly productive the last couple of days, and geez Louise, the weather that we had today, on top of everything else, the weather today, we had hail and lightning, which we don't see a lot of lightning here, not too often. but it was a lot of thunder and lightning, which was pretty interesting. So in between all of that, uh, part one of this was about an hour, and I'm still currently downloading it. So the video y'all have already seen while I'm doing this one is still downloading. Um, yeah, no, uploading. I've already downloaded it from my phone to my laptop. Now I'm uploading it from my laptop to YouTube. One took about 5 minutes, and the other has so far taken several hours, and I think there's 2 hours and 40 minutes left to go. And there's no reason it should take that long, except I don't really know why this is, but I know that it's absolutely related to interference caused by the weather somehow. I know that I partially feel like it's almost like saying it's the rain gods or something, but I always get worse reception in more interesting weather. I wouldn't say worse weather because it's not always bad to get rain and stuff, especially here. There we go. Now, so I snagged off a little section of this, and I'm trying not to water it up, but I've already watered it up some. Not going to get too hung up on it. This is going to be more than one little section I'm going to drape through there. So let's see how this comes out. We'll just, oh yeah, what did I do there? Let's do that. Okay. Okay, the idea is to not tear this completely up in the process of trying to wrap this so that it won't get completely tore up. Let's see what I've already started. You can see what I've already done to this shrink wrap, and it's just trying to help. No, you're not going to be able to reach in there and get that way. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. So that's kind of the idea. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to shrink wrap this. The next piece will probably be like that too. The idea is just to keep everything from getting too hysterical until I have a chance to get a tighter wrap on it, and then I'll shrink wrap that fairly tightly. And then, like I said earlier, I'll probably once I've got a couple of good tight wraps on there, I'll probably kind of punch some indiscriminate holes in that. For air and you know, I want it to hold moisture, but I also want it to breathe. So it's not just so that it can get air, it's also so that it can vape off whatever it needs to. Okay. We're about to start shrink wrapping for real here any second. Okay. All right. Also, we are going to do a little bit of styling work on that when I've gotten through messing around with this part. How could I? How else could I? Yep, there's no point in doing that. I was thinking I would leave it on the roll, tuck one end in, but there's no way that I can manipulate the roll, I don't think, around that, around the apex of the tree there. So I'm still going to be doing it. You're starting to get a little tighter with these now. I might think about, and I'm going to do some this way. It's gonna look like a yeah, I can't say on YouTube what it's gonna look like. It's not going to be award-winning stuff. You know what would have also been a really good material for that? Burlap. Yeah, I think had I laid a piece of burlap over this, and then maybe taking it down as far down to here, and then shrunk wrap it this way, I don't know. Then all of that substrate would start, I don't know. I think we're doing okay. But, you know, I haven't gotten past the part where I'm just still thinking of something that would allow that to be more breathable. It'll be breathable enough in a few weeks. Here by spring, that will probably be caked in or grown in enough to where as the plastic begins to start falling away, it'll be fine. It won't be a deal. That's what I'm hoping. Let's go with that and see what happens. I haven't gotten a piece of shrink wrap intact around this tree yet. Look at that. It's like I've never done this before. Cut all the shrink wrap. Okay. Like this, I wonder if my, never mind. I know what. I'm going to run a lap around this part of the base. Around that way, I'll be able to start getting in here. In other words, yeah, kind of like what I just said. I'm going to start running laps around that part of the base there, and then once I've done that, I can. And then once I can do that, I can start running those laps farther up the bottom of the pot. Okay. Excuse me, excuse me. Oh yeah. Get out. Get out of here. I've also seen people pack newspaper in there, knowing that it wasn't going to last that long. But it's not just like a shipping thing to keep those roots moist. It was just something that would hold a shape for a few weeks. And by the time all of that would give up the ghost, the roots would be taken over. All right. Yeah, there you go. Do that. Just drop it. That'd be fun. I will go back through and make sure that the drain holes in the bottom are unobstructed. Let's see, changing my position a little bit there. That. There you go, sweet pea. Excuse me, simply pea. All right, now that's not pretty, but it is temporary. We're just trying to hold our peat moss in place. It looks like we're getting ready to sell it as hamburger. That's not too far off. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. We did it. It's not gonna go too nuts. I don't want to just chop everything up into little bits, but that'll also cause this plastic to die sooner too. I know that, so I'm gonna do that a little sparingly. Okay, that's probably enough of that. So there we go. That's got our substrate in some way where it will stay in place without worry. We don't have to worry about losing our substrate now, except what I might be pouring out of it at this exact moment. All right. Drain hole number 1 uncovered. Yeah. Drain hole number 2. Right there. Okay. Put the soil you just poured out back in. Okay, Pat. All right. That's got us on that much. I know, it's not, in fact, I would say it looks like it does. It looks like it belongs in the deli freezer for whatever hamburger goes for a pound these days. But that's, I know, sweet pea, that's a little humbling, or simply pea, that's a little humbling. Okay, now the second phase of this is, well, I mean, just because we rolled it over on its back and put its roots in the air, I do like that angle. I think it looks silly in that shrink wrap, but it's necessary. And that's gonna breathe, and that's not gonna go anywhere, and that's gonna be fine. So, boom. Our second part of what we're doing in part 2 is, I want to move this in a little closer and move this a little further away. And let's see if we can, let's tilt up a little and then pull this guy in like that, and then I'd like to go right there, and then right there. Yes. Good thing, yes. I'd already clicked it. Oh, Pat, you're great at this. Uh, oh, I did. I kind of cut that off a little jagged. I bet at some point, if you do what I just did, that's dangerous. That's sharp enough to cut you. That little plastic zip tie. I mean, you don't have to be. Yes, clumsiest woman in the planet. Yes, absolutely. But you don't have to be the clumsiest woman in the planet to cut yourself on a shard of zip tie. They can. They can do that. Oh, they're no particular spaz talents required. What if I do that? Is that going to get all weird? Yeah. Okay. That is there a way? So I got this tree, and compared to my Japanese black pine, it was hard for me to really even see these as related. I mean, I didn't mean to feel like I disrespected it, but it did. It looked like it looked like it was more of a vegetable to me than a black pine. So, I feel pretty good about this, to say the least. I think that's better. So I put some movement in that. I pushed, okay, I'm not showing y'all, sorry. All right, so this guy is zip tied down, and this guy is being pulled back, and that's a good position for that. Now, I'm going to leave those two just like that. I think I'm going to, at some point, turn this one up. And I'm, at some point, going to see how far that one can go down. What do you think? Could Simply P be a good cascade? This will be like right up here at pot lip level, and then this would be our branch that would cascade down. This guy, down. This guy just hangs out here. See the two? It's two different. Come down and show that more. That's what I'm thinking. Bring that around. So this one would almost be the dominant one, and it would maybe I would bring it up a little. And this one is a smaller, skinnier, already longer branch. It starts from back here slightly. So I just let it run out of frame, right? Boom, down there somewhere. And then that would be our cascade guy. So then what would you do with this stuff? I don't know. I think Sweet Pea is, I think what we've done to this tree tonight has definitely made some worthwhile improvements. I'm pretty happy with this. Let's see. Clean that up. Yeah, I know the shrink wrap on there. It does. It looks like it needs to be in the meat freezer. But I'll have it out of that soon enough. Just as soon as the soil around there is built up enough to where that stuff would stay without it, we will be letting that plastic come off there. And I do have all the drain holes underneath the pot opened up. And I think the repot was really good for that tree. I think the restyle is a good start. And I think that this tree has really benefited from my more hands-on approach. And that was brought on because I wasn't as intimidated with this Japanese black pine the way I had been with a couple of the others. So yeah, we're just gonna stop this one there, and that'll be bringing in part 2. I can't wait till this spring or summer when all our little bacon wrap comes off. But in the meantime, it's not still going to be the most beautiful, but it's coming along. We're probably making gains with this tree that are broader than anything that we're doing on some of the farther along trees. I doubt if I help them a third every time I put them, but I feel like that's what we're doing with Sweet Pea here. Although that does look kind of funny with all the plastic. All right, get over it, Pat. Thank you so much for watching. I'm enjoying doing the pine work. Here in just a minute, we'll start getting back into our little pines and start doing some root type things to them. Need to start trying to get my hands on some more mame size pots for those guys. And yeah, like and subscribe if you guys have not already. I appreciate you. Frida appreciates you. And our next drop, I think this is probably going to take us almost to the weekend. So yeah, what are we going to do this weekend? I don't know yet. It's a little early for that. But thank you so much for watching. Little rotate, so I can show off all this fun plastic. USDA, grade A, Japanese black pine.